Dr. Hugo Ibarra with the Bryan Independent School District is here with us, and as we always do every Thursday morning, we talk about the great things that are happening in the Bryan Independent School District. And good morning, Dr. Ibarra.
Good morning. I'm doing great, thank you.
We're just about at the finish line. One more day.
I know.
I mean, this is the last full day, as
correct.
a matter of fact. Tomorrow's an early release day, the last day of school, and I'm just, my head's swimming. I can't believe it went by so fast, but, I'm thinking at least this year, the students and the teachers are, for the most part, all face-to-face, and there can be some closure.
Yes, because like you were saying, last year at this time, we didn't know when we were coming back, because after March the 6th, we didn't come back. And during graduation, we had billboards celebrating the students graduating.
Well, we left for spring break and never returned to the classroom.
Correct.
I mean, we did so virtually. But I was just thinking this morning about, the last day of school will be tomorrow. There'll be, I guess, a lot of happiness, a lot of sadness, but at least everybody's together face to face. Last year, I'm thinking about, the Zoom meetings and having to pivot to a totally different way of learning. Correct.
I'm thinking even the way around this day or the last day of school, it was when we had a drive-through for people to pick up their belongings.
To come back and pick up their belongings. Pull up to a table and grab your stuff. Well,
yes.
And I'm just thinking about, Michaela's last meeting with Ms. Mosqueda, her fourth grade teacher. And it was just, I don't know, it was surrealistic in some ways, because it's kind of like, you have this screen and you see all the faces, and that's the last moment.
Yes.
And you just say goodbye, and the meeting's over, and so is the year.
Correct. And thankfully, it's different this year, and it took a lot of grit and guts and efforts, and from everyone involved, from the schools, from the parents, from
the kids.
The kids, of course, definitely.
I had to tell you, I had my doubts when we started the fall about all the kids wearing masks and complying with social distancing and getting used to having face shields all over the place, not being able to sit next to each other and enjoy lunch together in the lunchroom. Everybody had to be spaced out.
No, I know, and I really appreciate, honestly, the parents, especially with younger kids, because you didn't visit the schools. We did as employees, and we knew that the kids were okay, but you're trusting us with your babies. We're trusting.
That is a lot of trust. Well, I have to tell you, we had a couple of parent-teacher conferences, so we got to go into the school a couple of times. And we got to see them. The kids looked happy.
That's great. Yes, I agree with you.
They look like they were, I don't know, relieved. Yeah, I mean, it's like, life is kind of back to normal.
Correct. And we have one of Bryan's students here. We're not going to talk to her, but she's one of our interns, and she's been here on the show, and she said that she would not want to stay home.
Well, why don't we talk to her?
Well, let's improvise.
Well, come on up.
Oh, come on.
We've got plenty of microphones and headphones here.
Caroline McCall.
This is spontaneous radio. Dr. Ibarra, introduce your special intern that you've had this year.
Well, Caroline McCall is a Bryan High School student who has been assisting the communications department for quite a few months now, and among many other things. She's a full-time student. She's taking several advanced courses. She's a tennis player. She works at Panera Bread, and she also joins us on Thursday mornings. Welcome.
We finally got her on the radio.
Yeah, I know. I've been listening from the outside. But
so you've been listening to me and Dr. Ibarra blather on about what it was like to be a student in the era of COVID, and how things were last year and how things are this year. So tell us what it was like for you. I mean, looking back on this year and contrasting it with last year.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I was all in person, and then I switched to hybrid this semester. And I got to say, it's been very strange. I was able to do hybrid a little bit more efficiently because I'm able to drive, and with my advanced courses, I'm able to not procrastinate with them. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely been strange. The masks and the social distancing. You see, like, the high school students are able to do it themselves. Like, we respect people's space, and we respect the masks and
you get
how
it.
People feel. Yeah. And then even when I drive by the elementary school on my way home, all the kids outside on the playground, they're all wearing masks, and they are very conscious of other people, which I think is really cool, considering how young they are, and that they can, fathom what it's been like. But comparing this year to last year, at this time, we didn't know what was going to happen last year at this time. And I know everything for me got canceled in the spring. And spring is usually my busy time because, like Dr. Ibarra said, I'm in tennis. We have tournaments. I'm in choir, so we have a lot of competitions. I'm also in a CTSO called the Technology Student Association, and our state conference and our national conference got canceled.
And that didn't happen? Oh.
No. So
it was you had a lot of spare time on your hands.
Yeah.
That you didn't plan on.
No, which it actually, it's kind of a blessing that we all got that, because I think a lot of us were able to recharge because we all needed it, even though none of us really were expecting or wanting it. But I think it ended up being a blessing. It was still difficult, but in the long run, it was actually a good thing. You
think the students who chose to come back to campus, or their parents chose that for them, benefited from having had that experience as opposed to the online model? Oh, for sure. I'm definitely a social interaction person, so not getting that personally was absolutely awful. It was hard. Having to stay away from my friends, and I know that a lot of other people feel the same way. So being back in school, you still, you had the face mask, the social distancing and all that. How do you feel like the other kids adjusted? Do they just kind of take it in stride, or do you feel like it was a struggle for some of them? I mean, overall, I think it was a good thing. I mean, it was a good thing. For some of them, it probably was a struggle. I think once we got used to it, it was okay. But at the beginning of the year, there were teachers reminding, hey, keep your masks on, guys. We got to stay safe. But over time, that kind of went away because people just kept them on and stayed far away from each other. Not far, but, 6 feet. Next year, we don't know for sure exactly what it's going to be like in the fall. The masks are dropped as of tomorrow.
As of tomorrow, correct. Yeah. Now, but we do know, we don't know. Nobody knows what the future looks like. However, we are expecting to have a normal year and no masks.
Completely, field trips will be back. Everything.
That is what we are looking forward to.
Anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
We are allowing people, we will soon allow people to start register, for example, to volunteer. We had some volunteers. We had some amazing things that for example, First Presbyterian, First United Methodist, St. Andrew's Episcopal, Declaration Church did, and others, for our staff. They couldn't go in, but they couldn't interact with the staff, but they did food trucks or try to pamper them. So we are opening back the door to volunteers. For example, one of the things lately, I've been interviewing residents for next year through a partnership that we have with Texas A&M AgriTerm, which is a year-long residency program, and interviewing candidates for next year. We had 10 people in our schools this year, but it was only very few that got to see what happens in schools. Many times when you're studying education, you have to, the first semesters, you observe teachers. Well, a lot of future teachers didn't observe teachers. That didn't dawn on me until recently. Well, thankfully, we are going to be opening the door back to them. Because one of the things that is very noticeable in schools is that there seems to be less people, and I think that's a big part of it. I don't know what you think, Caroline.
I go to Bryan High, and usually those hallways are really crowded, and there's definitely a lot more space when we're walking to and from classes.
And for example, during lunch.
I was going to say lunchtime. I'm thinking the periods or the times during the day when typically there's socialization, beginning of the day, end of the day, and lunchtime, and it wasn't quite what it used to be.
No, definitely not.
No. How did people adjust? Did social media take over? Email, texting? How did you stay in touch with your friends?
Texting, Snapchat.
Snapchat. Okay, yeah. I knew there had to be something there.
Yeah. Not really email. That's kind of how we stayed in touch.
I know.
With teachers
Email's
for the
old
most
school
part.
now, isn't it?
I wish.
Yeah.
That's.
But definitely texting, phone calls, FaceTimes, stuff like that were how we kind of kept together. And then just going out, but like spacing out.
How do you think that your teachers adapted and adjusted to the whole situation?
It was definitely tough. Some teachers have like kind of just had a day where they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do all of this work right now. And I'm very thankful for them because I don't get how hard it was, but I can understand that they were having a rough time to adjust to doing all this extra work just to keep everyone safe. But they adapted, they did it, and they were able to get through it, and they did it well. Most of them did it really well. They kept everyone together in class and online, which was something very cool to see.
Yeah, and tomorrow tomorrow's our last day.
Tomorrow's our last day.
They're so excited. We all are.
I think everybody is.
Well, and as I said, at least this year there'll be some closure. I mean, there probably, the regret that I could see on Michaela's teacher's face last year when she ended that final meeting. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, it's over.
Yeah.
No hugs, no high fives, no pats on the back, no anything like that. It's
That's how it felt, yeah.
Yeah, just a click and it's over. But this year,
it's different. For example,
far different.
Yes, and one of the things, for example, thankfully we had graduation last year. That's one thing that was different. We moved it outside, and then it's also outside. We'll talk about it in a minute. But this year, for example, I was at several schools, and they are still having award ceremonies. Mm-hmm. The parents are not in there. However, the teachers and the students are, and they are broadcasting those live. We've gotten very good in general at live broadcasts.
Well, that's one thing that I would, big props to Bryan ISD Technology, the media services. I mean, everybody had to come up to speed on stuff that they didn't used to have to do. It's not just the teachers that are trying to deliver instruction, but, being able to give parents a peek in. We had a couple of those during the year, like Kickstart belt ceremonies and things like that, being able to do that by Zoom. That used to be everybody would go up and sit in the bleachers and watch stuff like that.
And if you think about adjusting, think about when we started this. I mean, when March 6, 2020, we came back. Well, we didn't come back, and then, for example, food services continued to provide meals. I was thinking, continue to provide meals until school started in August. Mm-hmm. Ongoing. Also, before school started, talk about technology. We delivered thousands and thousands
of
devices.
All of those laptops that went out.
Correct.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. Of course, I'm thinking about the custodial services, maintenance, sanitizing the classrooms. I mean, you've seen them, Caroline, with the, I don't know what's called that.
Yeah, like
the sprayer.
The fogger.
The fogger, yeah. It's really...
It looks like something out of Ghostbusters.
They do. I mean, you do see them. And the schools feel and smell cleaner than ever. I don't know if you...
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I think that's probably going to continue. There will continue to be precautions. There will continue to be cleaning of surfaces and things like that. I think overall, while COVID has been a challenge, it has caused us to rethink, a lot of things like hygiene being. I don't think that anybody enjoys getting colds or flus, but the fact of the matter is, due to the increased amount of vigilance, the increased amount of cleaning that's been going on, there's been less transmission of stuff like that. So maybe they'll continue.
I would think that
a
lot of these practices will continue, and a lot of the equipment and PPE that we have will continue to be available to our students, families, staff. Correct. So, and I was thinking about some of the highlights or some of the things that happened during this year. Kudos to our maintenance department, because I'm thinking in the middle of all this, we had construction going on. Mm-hmm. We had emergencies. We had
big
leaks.
Storm.
We had
a
couple of storms.
Yeah.
Couple of gigantic storms, and then the amazing proactive response from our team to drain our systems so that we could start right after the storm. That Monday, we were out 5 days, same as the rest of the state. Mm-hmm. And then we went back to school that Monday in February.
Business as usual.
Yes, and that is anything but a coincidence. I mean, it was...
Yeah, being an intern and seeing the behind the scenes of what Bryan ISD does and hearing it in the office, it's insane. Like, people have no idea what's going on, and they definitely need more recognition for that, because they have no clue like how much goes into running even one school, much less
an entire district.
Yeah, an entire district.
Well, and I'm glad, Dr. Ibarra, that you're bringing up the behind-the-scenes people. That I guess that's one of those things. I'm an engineer, and I always feel like if I'm doing my job right, you never know I'm there. You never see me. The situations in which the maintenance people, the custodial workers, where they really shine,
transportation,
where they shine is when things are normal and you don't know they're there and everything just runs smoothly. And this has been one of those years.
It has been more than others, correct. Transportation, figuring out transportation, not just the drivers. Think about the people who have to figure out the routes. If you have a group of virtual learners on specific days when they're in person, or also who might have been exposed or quarantined or blah, 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 and following the protocol.
Right.
It's quite a puzzle.
Wow.
But we figure it out. They figure it out.
Yeah. Well, next year will be easier, I'm sure. We're going to be starting summer school.
Correct.
We'll have the camps in July, so things will start to spin back up. I was going to say, the district never sleeps. I mean, even over the summer, and in fact, in some cases, it gets even busier.
Depending on the department. Yes,
yeah.
You're right. And we do start summer school next week, and if they have questions, we're still going to be open. The district's still open. The school will still be open during the month of June. It'll be Monday through Thursday, though.
So teachers are around through next Tuesday, I believe, for the 9-month contract, and then the ones that are teaching summer school, they'll be around.
Correct.
Yeah.
But tomorrow's early release.
Tomorrow's early release. Yeah. I was going to say the finish line is so close you can reach out and touch it.
So close, and Caroline's so excited. Why
Caroline,
are you so excited?
You just are grinning ear to ear there.
Been a long year. I'm ready. I can't believe that we're actually here. Like that we've reached this point. It's insane. Every time I think about it, or I talk to a friend, I'm like, I can't believe we're here. And I'm about to be a senior, so I can't believe that's happening. A lot of crazy stuff happening.
I know, and it's good to see you. I mean, we couldn't.
I was going to say, you've got one more year to go.
Yeah,
I know.
It's supposed to be a fun one, though, right?
Well, I think you've got a great attitude, and I think you're going to make the most of it. Well, clearly, you've already made the most of it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Wow, that's incredible. So, what other highlights do you have?
I was just thinking about quickly some of the things we talked about. The teachers radically changing the way they approached instruction, and then also the fact that we started with about I'm gonna ballpark. There's now 50% of our students in August in person, and we're ending with over 90%.
Over 90, yeah. And you can tell.
And you can tell because of the
car rider lines,
yes.
And Michaela was telling me that in the cafeteria they had to start putting people up on the stage because there's so many people at lunch now.
Yeah, for just like the Big Mac index, it's an economic indicator for Mr. Parr. The car line is what determines the percentage of in-person students attending
It's a very
school.
real thing.
It probably is.
Yes, it is.
And then also I was thinking about the things that still happen. Like I said, the support from some organizations, support from some churches, the foundation, delivering $50 gift cards to every teacher, the Bryan ISD Education Foundation. And then the retirements. This is a very emotional, I think today, tomorrow are very emotional days. Today, I want to say, happy retirement to my mother-in-law, Becky Slovak. She's been teaching over 30 years. She's at Consol teaching English.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you brought up a valuable point there. There's glee, there's joy, and there's sadness, and I guess I shouldn't say remorse, but I guess maybe a feeling of it's almost surrealistic, I guess. Looking back on a long teaching career, thinking about all the lives you've touched, the kids that you started with now have kids of their own in a lot of cases, and I guess when I'm thinking about putting myself in the shoes of an educator, a school teacher, closing up their classroom, packing everything away for the summer, but knowing it's coming back in the fall, but not for those who are retiring.
No, and that's correct. And that's why I would encourage everyone, if you have, and most of us know someone in education who, first of all, if they are finishing the year, I mean, today's college session, tomorrow's Bryan ISD, just send them a text or call them. And if they are retiring, especially, we have some people who have been in Bryan for over 30 and 40 years retiring. I don't have the whole list in front of me, but I know that David Richards, who has been, almost everybody who went through Bryan schools knows David Richards. Coach Rose Gregg is retiring. So I think it would be great, and as I say that, I'm thinking about doing that myself, if we reach out to them and thank them for decades of service to our students in our community.
You know, the role that a teacher has in the life of a student, I don't think you could possibly put a monetary value on that, but it's a job that is not one of the highest paid. It's not one of the highest compensated, and I think in so many ways the people who choose education for a career, there's a lot of parallels between that and those who choose other forms of public service. They're not in it for the money. They're in it because they feel compelled to do something good, to do something for society. I guess in a lot of ways that's kind of a form of paying it forward. You use the skills that you learned as a student, and you are bringing the next generation along.
Correct. And this year, I think it became more evident that they were, because there were options for people to get an income. They didn't necessarily have to all show up or stay with the same district or go to school on August the 20th, 2020.
But fortunately, they did.
They did. So congratulations, and the rest of the staff, particularly the staff at the schools.
Well, big thank you to everybody at every level of the Bryan Independent School District, at all school districts everywhere.
Correct. I agree with you.
This has been a crazy, insane year, but we made it. Next year's going to be even better. I
think so, and we're celebrating. Don't forget, we still have a lot of good things happening. We have
graduations are going on.
We have graduations. They started last night. They're all at Merrill Green.
Heard the fireworks.
8 p.m. Yes, be sure to tell your neighbor.
So if you hear fireworks, don't be alarmed if you're in Bryan.
Correct. Yep. Tonight is Bryan Collegiate. Tomorrow is Rudder High School, and then Saturday is Bryan High School, 8 p.m. If you don't already have a ticket, most likely you won't get a ticket, but we are broadcasting those live on our YouTube and Facebook page, and you can find that information on bryanisd.org. Weather is looking pretty good. Saturday, actually, chance of showers and thunderstorms, 40-50% chance, but there are rainout days. There are multiple options. Backup days are abound, so schools are determined it's going to happen one way or the other. Correct. And also, don't forget to support our softball team, who is now playing the regional finals, the Bryan Vikings versus Rockwall tonight. Still going. Still going tonight. And you can hear those online. Yes, bcsball.com tonight at 6 p.m. It's in West if you want to go. That's at West. Not West Texas, but West. Well, West, Texas. Yeah, on I-35, the place where you go to get the really good kolaches. Mm-hmm. Yes, correct, and that's important. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people are going, and if you can go and support the Bryan Vikings softball team. 6 o'clock today, West Texas, because a lot of people think of a school in Houston. There's a high school, something West. Well, make some noise if you go. Yes, make some noise. There you go. They like fan power. It works. Are you going? I might try to. Okay, you're wearing your Vikings shirt, so I didn't know. School spirit. I was like, I've been listening in on the broadcast, and when that home run was hit in that second game against the Woodlands, oh my gosh, I screamed. Yes. I was so excited. Very good. I know. It's great broadcast, and it's exciting to hear. I mean, and then when you're there, I've been paying more attention now. Mm-hmm. It's 200 feet. I mean, it's very difficult to hit a home run, softball or baseball. So it's amazing. Pretty impressive what these girls do. They make it look easy, though. They really do. Well, go support them, make some noise. Or if you're at home, make some noise. They won't be able to hear you, but it works. Yeah, it works. Like, the karma. Yeah. It works.
Well, gosh, here we are, next to the last day, almost done. Caroline, thank you very much for stepping up. I'm glad we finally got you on the air.
I know, me too. You did great. She's a pro.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, you have a much prettier smile than Dr. Ibarra does.
Well, thank you. That's true.
Yeah. Even though he looks very professional in his Bryan ISD. I mean, you're both wearing the colors today. That's awesome.
Representing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll be back next Thursday, and periodically throughout the summer we're gonna. So if you've been a regular listener on Thursday mornings, whether you're a district employee or just a parent or a worker, thank you very much for tuning in every Thursday morning. We've had a blast doing this.
We did
all year, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to be back next year. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hugo Ibarra, Community Outreach Officer for Bryan Independent School District.